What's up, everybody? This is SNS Show with Sal and Sid Time, two-time. We're excited. George Kittle has extended his contract. The 49ers are going to hang on to George Kittle for 4 more years.
What's going on?
What's up, everybody? We're extremely excited. Big news for the 49ers today. They held on to George Kittle. I thought that was a big deal. I always say there's certain players that are a must to retain, and there's certain players you want to retain. I believe George Kittle is a must, and the 49ers did just that. They extended him today. I think it's big news.
Yeah, I think he's the right guy to pay. I mean, he's not at an age where it's like he's going to be on a downfall, at least in the upcoming years. George Kittle's still, in my opinion, the best tight end in the league. And, yeah, you don't want to let those players go. He's a big locker room guy. He's a big piece of the puzzle on the offensive side of the ball. I think that was a no-brainer to me. Players like that, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I feel like he's a team leader. I feel like he's the best tight end in football. He does everything well. Not a lot of tight ends do both well. Usually you find a blocking tight end or you find a receiving tight end. He's the ultimate tight end. If you were to make a tight end in a lab, this is the type of guy you'd come up with. As a 49er fan, what more could you ask of a team leader? George Kittle does everything right on and off the field. This is the leader. This is the guy that's got to stay on the team. I've heard some people say, we didn't win a Super Bowl with them, move on. No, this is not the type of guy you move on. This is a team game at the end of the day. You don't blame a specific player in NFL football for not winning Super Bowls. This is a tight end doing his job at the highest level.
Yeah, and I guess whenever the debate comes up, like whenever I hear somebody say a name above George Kittle is a better tight end, I guess like you said, you're getting the best of both worlds with George Kittle, and my number one response is, well, yeah, that guy's a sick receiver, but can they block like George Kittle can? The George Kittle is an extra offensive lineman on the field, and that's a huge deal. And not to mention his elite talent in catching, run after catch with the ball in his hands. Like George Kittle's the man. So, yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. Paying him, he's the highest paid tight end in the league. We got him for the next 4 years. Or I guess it'd be 5 years because it's a 4-year extension, I believe. So we'll have him right up until he's about, 36 years old?
Right. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care really about his age or anything like that. George Kittle does everything right on and off the field, and that's truly what matters. So at the end of the day, the 49ers extended the best tight end in the league at a pretty good price. Realistically, he's the highest paid tight end in the league right now, but in 4 years, that contract's going to look pretty damn good if you ask me. The salary cap goes up every year. It's going to continue to do that. And, like I say, you got the best tight end at a pretty fair price.
Right. Like you hear people say the wide receiver market is crazy right now. It's like, okay, if we're getting George Kittle for just over $20 million a year, compare that to the wide receiver price. That's a steal of a deal because George Kittle is like a wide receiver, except for he has obviously less abilities in certain aspects, but way better abilities in other aspects. So if you have a tight end like George Kittle, you pay. Simple as that.
100%. Moving on to the next topic. Everybody keeps wondering when is Brock Purdy's contract going to be solidified, and Fred Warner probably needs to be extended. I really appreciate what Fred had to say about that. He said he's not going to hold out. He's going to play it out. He understands the risks that he's taking, but Fred Warner's been such a leader for this squad. I believe he understands that this is a business, and the 49ers have every intention of extending him, but he is taking a risk. If he gets injured, he has no promised money after next season. So Fred Warner is the ultimate team player, the ultimate leader. That's another guy that this is where you say he's a must to re-sign. This is not somebody you just want to re-sign. This guy needs to be re-signed. He's a 49er, and hopefully he's a 49er for the rest of his career.
Right. Here's another guy, and you don't just say this because you're a 49er fan, but you say this because it's just a matter of fact. That's another guy who's probably the best at his position. So again, he's another player where when you have a player like that, you take care of him. He's still young. He's still got a lot of fight left in him. So, like, it's a risk at the end of the day, sure, maybe for this year. But even if a guy like Fred Warner were to get hurt this year, I'm still going to pay Fred Warner. I don't want him to leave the 49ers.
Well, it just comes down to what kind of injury he does get. But in terms of Brock Purdy's contract is still not solidified. They still have not come to a conclusion with this contract. And if you're the San Francisco 49ers, basically what you're saying is you're not comfortable paying him top money. And I think finally the 49ers have come to the stance with the player as opposed to the player getting what he wants. It looks like the 49ers have grown this offseason in terms of the GM and the coach not folding to the player. I said it from the beginning. I did not believe that they were going to give Brock Purdy anything over $50 million. I really believe the number was 40 to 45. And the longer this goes on, I think it's pretty clear that that's how the 49ers feel. If I'm starting to think that they're going to hang on to that number, and maybe Brock Purdy's going to have to compromise.
Yeah, so reports came out recently that they're still not close. So instantly, the way I took that is everyone's sticking to their same number. If Brock Purdy's sticking to his number in the mid 50s and the Niners are sticking to low to mid 40s, then they're not going to be close. And this is one where I could actually see the 49ers not backing down from. Like, seriously, if they feel like they have a good backup in Mac Jones and they also feel like Brock Purdy's not the franchise quarterback that he thinks he is, which is what we're starting to see. I don't know. I can see the 49ers not folding on this one. They're going to stand to their guns. They're going to hold to
They are not folding on this one. That would have happened by now. And to be honest with you, the 49ers have all the leverage. He's going to have to play on a $5 million contract if he does not decide to sign this contract, or his other option is to hold out. And we all know quarterbacks are not smart to hold out. I don't think that benefits them. I think their stock goes down after a holdout sitting out a year. So I don't believe he has that in his pocket. He's already told the team that he's going to commit to OTAs. So, I mean, realistically, the Niners have the leverage here, and he's going to have to fold. And ultimately, he's going to fold or he's going to play for $5 million. And playing for $5 million also benefits the 49ers because it forces Brock Purdy to bet on himself. He's going to have to play lights out and earn the big contract, or he doesn't, and the 49ers are just looking like the way they plan to do it, $40 million, or you're just going to have to move on.
Right. Like if last year's play of Brock Purdy didn't show his realistic worth, and we'll find out this year for sure. You're on a team that's not extremely stacked, doesn't have a lot of veterans. We're going to find out what Brock Purdy's worth is more and more as this year goes on. And yeah, he's going to be forced to bet on himself. And maybe we get this could either hurt the Niners or actually, I don't see how it could hurt the Niners. Even if he balls out, he's still max going to be in the mid $50 million range. So I can't see this hurting the Niners at all if they force him to play on his rookie deal.
Yeah, and it's so funny. During the draft, all these fans that were crying about the 49ers getting tackles and guards and whatever, addressing the O-line. Don't get me wrong, the 49ers need to address the O-line. But the 49ers had so many needs on the defense. And I don't know about you, but I didn't enjoy watching that defense last year. I think defense matters first here. And, there's always options like this. Signing DJ Humphries, a former Pro Bowler. I'm sure maybe he's not the best option out there, but it's still a guy that you bring in that can help the squad. Maybe he's your swing tackle now behind the two starting guys that you had last year. And you got to assume there's a good chance that Trent Williams gets hurt. And that's why you bring in a guy like this. But the draft was fully intended to improve the defense, and they had every right of doing so. The 49ers were 29th ranked defense in the league. And as a 49er fan, I don't know about you guys, but there's nothing worse to watch than a defense that allows touchdown after touchdown and just teams walking up and down the field. Now the Niners have addressed their run defense. And when you play run defense, it forces third and longs. And all of a sudden now Bosa can pin his ears, and the newcomer Mikael Williams is going to be able to do the same, and same with Alfred Collins. The 49ers did a great job, if you ask me, in the draft.
I agree. Like, they basically just drafted the way we've been saying they should for the past how many weeks. So, like, at the end of the day, look, a move like this, it adds stability to the tackle position. If Trent Williams gets hurt, it hurts the team. Is it the end of the world now? No, because we have DJ Humphries on the bench. Also, if Colton McKivitz is absolutely sucking, which we could all see happening, DJ Humphries could play right tackle as well. So, yeah, the number one need was D-line. The 49ers addressed that over the draft, and it was the right move. Simple as that, period. You need to address the D-line. They did it.
Yeah, for sure. And, I was pretty ecstatic about this signing. I did believe that the 49ers had a need at tackle because Trent Williams probably will get hurt. So I'm all for this. But at the end of the day, I was not angry after draft night. I seen Grant Cohn and many others talking about how the 49ers did not address the O-line and how bad it was. But the 49ers addressed the biggest need on the team, and this team's full of needs. That's the other issue. It's not like the 49ers defense was rock solid and they drafted defense. No, the defense had huge issues. That's why they went there first. And it was pretty clear how they felt about that. We're not talking like the defense dominated the draft. We only picked 2 offensive players.
Oh yeah, I'd love to point out Jed York's tweets during the draft live. Like he was saying some funny stuff like, "Oh, well, we're going with the trenches on this pick," and in comes Robert Saleh into the war room. Like he was just basically saying it's defense, defense, defense. And then when he took the O line, he's like, "Here's what you guys wanted, but you guys were wrong to want O line early. You guys were wrong to want O line in the first round. That would have been a horrible mistake. It adds stability to the O line, but a game changer is to be found on the defense, and that's what you need."
So, that brings you to the next question. What is a realistic expectation for the 49ers after this draft? It's funny. Before the draft, I said if the 49ers do not address D line, I would assume a bad season. Even with that schedule, they probably don't make the playoffs. But I had a good feeling the 49ers understood that. And, on this show, we said it multiple times the 49ers need to address defense, not offense. And, you had a lot of guys that were on the fringe, guys that, like to think they know football, but clearly they don't. The 49ers did what they needed to do, and that was to address defense. So my expectation after the draft, in all honesty, I could see the defense with Robert Saleh leading the way and the newcomers that they brought in. There's a big player in that draft that's going unnoticed, and that's Nick Martin, our third round pick. If you haven't seen the film, turn on the film. This guy will make plays outside the box. He'll make plays on the sideline, and he's a sideline to sideline player running a 4.53 like your boy Dre Greenlaw. So we're trying to mimic the guys that we had in the past. Alfred Collins being like a DeForest Buckner or an Armstead, big 6'6" D tackle. We're going to stop the run. CJ West, we're going to stop the run. And then you bring in a Mikael Williams, who's the best edge setter in the draft. And obviously, he's got some growth as a pass rusher. He's a 20-year-old kid. There's plenty of time to grow. And he's going to do it right before our eyes. And it's going to happen quick because I see Aldon Smith before our eyes. That's my comparison from the first time I turned on the tape. Do I think he's the best guy right now? Probably not in terms of the draft. But do I see a great ceiling and a high potential with this guy? I really do. I see a potential being Aldon Smith. Just turn on the tape. He's a long, rangy D end. He runs the same 40. He's the same size. He's a little bit taller. Plenty of reason to be excited in the D line. You go to linebacker, like I say, Nick Martin. That's a big acquisition. Now on 4-3 situations, early downs when there's a running back and a fullback on the field, you can run the 3 linebackers with DJ Winters as well as Nick Martin and Fred Warner. And then in nickel packages, Nick Martin, I really believe, can do the coverages. I don't think they're going to take him off. As much as I like Winters' coverages abilities, I don't think Martin's leaving the field. And then the safety, the leader of Kansas State, Siegel.
Sorry, one thing. Just I know you love this guy, so you're gonna want to rant on him. I just wanted to speak on Nick Martin just a little bit before you move on. A lot of 49er analysts are talking about Nick Martin being a major reach, as well as other players being a major reach. And my number one reply to you, to the people that say that, is, who are you to call it a reach? How do you know where he is on other teams' draft boards? Like outside of the top 3 players, you can't really call anyone a reach because you don't know what any other teams are thinking, let alone going into the 3rd and 4th round, you're going to call somebody a reach. You don't know if the team picking after the Niners love Nick Martin. So
Yeah.
at that point, when you get to those rounds, you're taking the best player available who you believe is the best player available, and they believe that the best player available was Nick Martin. I didn't love the pick as soon as it happened, but the more you watch him, the more he grows on you. Honestly, he's got the speed. He's not afraid to hit it. I'm excited to watch Nick Martin for sure. But yeah, you could keep going on.
At the end of the day, if you want to talk about reaches and stuff like that, the reality is the 49ers picked him higher than people had him projected prior to the draft.
Right,
But the 49ers understood the need and the ability of this player. Nick Martin is a flashy player. He's going to make plays everywhere. He's running at 4.53 and he's a hard hitting. He's a pursuit type player. He's exactly what you want. He's a Dre Greenlaw. He's just a little bit smaller.
right. And these are the things with projections. Projections only go so far, and they only tell so much of the story. If Shador Sanders would have been taken second overall, we would have said, "Oh, that's what he was projected." But the
Prime
reality,
example: Jahad Barron and
right,
Will Johnson. Those guys fell. Projections were first round players. It happens every draft. Some guys
right,
go higher, some guys go lower.
right. So these are NFL teams, and these are NFL people that are dedicating their entire lives for the past how many months studying these players. And at the end of the day, they don't care about your guys' projections.
And they know what works best for their system. That's the other
100%.
thing. These
100%.
guys know their system. They know what they're looking for. And, the 49ers understood they needed to stop the run. And that you could tell by their draft picks. It's all run stoppers, but, Mikael Williams a little bit more than that. And then moving on to, like I was saying, Marquez Siegel. So I played safety, and when I analyze a safety, there's certain things I look for. And the thing that I love about this guy is he can play everywhere. Marquez Siegel, you watch his tape, you catch him at nickel, you catch him at dime, you catch him at free safety, you catch him at strong safety. How many DBs can do that? He runs a 4.37. This guy's a possibility of playing over Uptown Stowe. I'm going to call that right now. Uptown Stowe is probably my least favorite guy in the draft for specific reasons. But I see Siegel being the nickel corner over Uptown Stowe. That's something that I think is a high possibility if he's not playing free safety or strong safety or whatever. But I know Malik Mustafa is going to miss some time, so there's a chance he starts there, and then maybe he moves down if Jair's playing well, and you leave Lenore on the outside to cover the top guys. I really truly believe that Siegel is going to be that number. In the past, how many drafts have we robbed fifth round? This is one. We just did it again. This is a big time safety that we stole.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to watch him for sure. Like, serious athlete, man. He is fun to watch. When I first put on his highlight tape, I was like, whoa, shocking that he's available in the fifth round. Then you hear about the leader he was to his team. It's like, why the hell did this guy drop to the fifth round? It really made no sense. An athlete like that, who's a leader like that, drops to the fifth round. I get, well, he's at a smaller school, so I get that. But
it's not exactly. They're still playing high level football. And the best part is when the coach was asked, who's the leader of your defense? Who is the guy on your defense? He said Marquez Siegel. This guy falls to the fifth round and running a 4.37 and plays all the positions, including nickel. Like,
yeah,
people needed to do their homework. The 49ers did, so they robbed that player. I'm telling you right now, he's a starter in the league instantly. This is a fantastic pick.
yes.
Steve-O says we struggled at the run D, and tackling should be solved.
It looks like it should be solved. It looks like it. Like, I get it. At the end of the day, these are rookies coming in, but these are NFL players now. And
My biggest complaint of the offseason was what, Sid?
we can't stop the run.
And what did I say you can't do if you can't stop the run?
You can't play defense, and I 100% agreed. And I think to the best of their ability, they did the best you can in making an emphasis of stopping the run this year. 100%.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Marquez Siegel's a fifth round pick. If you pay attention to his tape, watch him flash in terms of making tackles. And this is a guy that you could add to nickel packages if he plays the nickel. That also ups your run defense because you have a safety. This is like Jimmy Ward all over again, but faster. And I love the pick.
So reports came out, Malik Mustafa torn ACL. Crazy to me because it happened in the last game of the season last year, and now the news just leaked out now. So now there is a starting safety spot open for the 49ers. Is that going to Siegel?
That's going to Siegel. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be Jair Brown and Siegel back there.
Okay.
Maybe Jair Brown doesn't play and they play the guy they got from the Giants. Remind me of his
Pinnock.
name. Yeah,
Pinnock.
Pinnock. That's a possibility. And Uptown Stout plays nickel as a possibility. I think the 49ers drafted. That's the one pick that doesn't resonate really well with me is Uptown Stout. He's just a smaller guy. He's not going to fit the scheme in terms of helping on the run. He's a little bit too small. He runs a mid 4.4. He's a good slot corner, maybe. But wouldn't you prefer having like Marquez Siegel if Malik Mustafa's back there? I mean, he got safety experience, runs a 4.37. He played all those spots in college, played them at a high level. He got pick sixes. He got picks all over the field at every position. I just, every time I think that we got Marquez Siegel in the fifth round, I just think of we stole Hufanga in the fifth round. We stole Greenlaw in the fifth round, I believe. We got all these studs in the fifth
Kittle.
round. The Niners just continually do it. It's like whatever you guys are cooking up in the fifth round, we need to figure out a way to do in the first round. And hopefully this year they did that.
Yeah, and I believe they did. I think Michael Williams is the man. I love the pick now. I didn't love it then, but I love it now. But yeah, Uptown Stuff is just not a guy that I feel confident in. Like at the end of the day, I believe his absolute highest ceiling is a Quan Williams, and we're talking about a good nickel corner. But at the end of the day, I don't know. He was what? He was our fourth round pick.
He was a third round pick or second,
He was
third round pick.
He was our second, third
To,
round pick,
to
and you're
me,
hoping for a Quan Williams. That's what you're doing.
that is what they're doing. But I don't know. To answer your question, Steve, or your statement there, the 49ers definitely have addressed the run defense. In terms of their three defensive linemen that they added, they're all run players, including Michael Williams. That's the best edge setter in this draft. And Nick Martin is going to fly around. And what happens when you have a front like that, by the way? Fred Warner's shirt stays clean, and you're going to see a lot of Fred Warner plays now. You're going to go see Fred Warner all the way back to the last time we were in the Super Bowl and before. He's just going to be everywhere because when your shirt's clean as a linebacker like Fred, who runs and covers the ground like he does, he's going to be able to make those plays and he's going to be able to do that walk that he does. We're going to see a lot of that. He's going to strip the ball plenty of times this year, and he's going to get his picks. Fred Warner is going to flash this year. He told us already coming into this offseason, you guys haven't seen anything yet. It's going to get better. And it's almost like he knew what was going to happen with this draft. And that was they were going to address the D line, and his shirt is going to be clean, and Freddie's going to be flying around.
Right. You see a lot of fans while the draft was going on, a lot of 49 analysts that we watch on YouTube here, a lot of fans saying, well, way to show you don't care about Brock Purdy. Listen, at the end of the day, Brock Purdy's a franchise quarterback. We're not drafting O-line to protect him. He has a decent O-line in front of him, but it's not horrible. Brock Purdy's job now, if he's an elite quarterback that's going to get paid $50 million, your job is to win with an average offensive line. And the coach's job is to make sure that, well, they're helping Brock Purdy by not having to force him to put up 30 points a game. You know who's happy right now? Like you said, Fred Warner is happy. He is hungry. He's ready to go. Talk about why Fred Warner's not holding out this year. He's betting on himself for a reason. He loved that draft. He's ready to go.
He definitely loved the draft. He definitely loves the coach that we brought back. Freddie's going to have a huge year. Let's just pray to God he stays healthy, and Freddie will have a massive year for us.
Right. So this is a question that kind of transfers on from the last question. So I guess we're kind of excited for the expectations of this year. Are we calling Super Bowl? No, we're not. It's a really young team. They need to get the feel of the NFL a little bit more before we call Super Bowl. But judging off what you expect out of the 49ers this year, what would be a letdown? And is there anything that could happen this year that would make you start to think, okay, now it's time to move on from Kyle Shanahan?
I'll be honest. I expect the 49ers to make the playoffs, especially with the schedule that they have. In terms of how far they go, I would say this season's a huge success if they win the wild card. If they win the wild card game and anything after that, it's a major success. But I believe the wild card is the goal for this year. And you build off that next year in the draft and whatever free agents you decide to bring in. And Brock Purdy's contract's got to be settled by then. and we really will know the future of this squad and where it's going. Um, Kyle Shanahan, given a good defense, has proven, playoffs is almost automatic. Now, last year he didn't make the playoffs, but the defense was embarrassing, and Brock Purdy wasn't up to the standard he was prior years. But at the same time, plenty of injuries on the offense. The 49ers need to find a way to stay healthy for one season. It's been strange how we just keep getting hit by the injury bug. I would fire that staff. Whoever's in charge, the medical staff, they need to go. The strength and conditioning, they need to go.
Which they did. They replaced.
Yes, and we need to upgrade. It cannot be the same type of people. It needs to be pay top dollar, bring in the best people around for once, and see if it benefits you. See if you get value by spending that money.
Right.
And obviously, this is a very rough game, and injuries are going to happen. We just need to limit them, and when they do happen, address them and have our players back sooner than later. Dre Greenlaw, that was a very long recovery for an Achilles.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking from experience. I ruptured my Achilles. It did not take me 8 months. I just don't understand. And he came back and he wasn't even 100%. That's just bad. That's a bad job by the rehab team. And that needs to be addressed. They addressed it. So we'll see how that goes. But I expect a wild card win, and I expect Kyle Shanahan to keep his job, and I expect the 49ers to continue to build and work towards another opportunity at the Super Bowl.
Right. The other thing, when you spoke on injuries, like some of these rookies we're bringing in weren't completely healthy last year. So it will present itself as a legit problem if they can't stay healthy coming into the 49ers. If they continue to be hit with this injury bug, then again, we're looking at changing the strength and conditioning staff. And it's just an ongoing problem for the 49ers, which is crazy to me. But yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, is there any way the 49ers move on from Kyle Shanahan? I don't think there is. Would I want them to in a certain case scenario where we're not making the playoffs or contending for the playoffs in the last couple games of the regular season? Like if we're going into week 15 and there's no chance of us making the playoffs, I'm going to be pretty upset. I'm not going to lie. Even though I know if we make the playoffs, it doesn't mean Super Bowl. I want to make the playoffs. I want to make the wild card. I don't want a tanking year. So if we're sitting at week 15 and we know that we're out of the playoffs, I don't know. If you don't move on from Kyle Shanahan at that point, I don't know if the Niners ever will.
Listen, I'm a Kyle Shanahan supporter. If the 49ers are nowhere near the playoffs, Kyle Shanahan will be fired. I can assure you that. That draft was definitely the draft that they needed. It's the draft that made me regain confidence in this team. And, Steve-O says we've gotten to ride these coaches 4 to 5 times. And at the end of the day, how many teams can say they've gotten that opportunity? And these coaches combined with the GM, I don't want to say they've done their job because we don't have a ring. But at the end of the day, how many organizations wish that they had the success of the 49ers in the last 6 years? I know the ultimate goal is a ring. I'm well aware. But not a lot of teams can continually show up in the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl in 6 years. The Niners were there twice, the NFC Championship 4 times, and we lost a quarterback in one of those, and it was really a meaningless game at that point. The 49ers had no shot. But my expectation for Kyle Shanahan is the 49ers will get to the wild card game and probably win, and then probably lose in the divisional round. That's my expectation here. Really.
So do you agree that it's time to start seriously considering moving on from Kyle Shanahan if we're out of the playoffs pretty early?
Say that again.
Do you agree that it's a serious possibility that we should look into if the 49ers are eliminated from the playoffs early on?
No, because the 49ers just did an absolute overhaul. I don't think people are aware of this, but not very many times do you hear 9 starters removed from a roster in one offseason.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a rebuild in a sense. It's a quicker, different kind of rebuild because you didn't get rid of guys like George Kittle and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. But it is technically a rebuild in the sense that you're bringing a whole new roster together, a new locker room, and they're going to have to learn to gel as the season goes. And the 49ers are going to find a way to get in the playoffs. I truly believe that. I think the schedule benefits them. I think that draft was fantastic in terms of getting the defense on the right track with a great coach. The 49ers did what they needed to do on defense this offseason in terms of the draft and Robert Saleh after that gong show of an offseason that we started with. So that's what makes me believe the 49ers will end up in the playoffs. The schedule, one, and the draft and Robert Saleh.
Well, yeah, I guess to put some context behind it, I guess it'd kind of be fair to say that if it's the 49ers offense that is struggling and it's the 49ers offense that is the reason that we're eliminated from the playoffs, then I think it's fair to directly look at Kyle Shanahan, because that overhaul that you're talking about was majority on the defense. And at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan still has a lot of talent for an offense that a lot of other offensive coordinators just don't get to work with. So if it's an offensive problem, and we see visibly, like we did last year, that Shanahan's creativity is slowly dissolving, then I see no reason to not move on from him. Again, I doubt that, though. I think we're going to see a creative Kyle Shanahan this year. I expect that. But I'm just saying, worst case scenario, if we do see a Shanahan that's just not creative, depending on Brock Purdy way too much, then I don't know. Maybe something's got in his head and it's time to move on.
I just don't want to move on because I truly believe before his career is over, he'll get 1 or 2 rings, and I really believe that. He's like Andy Reid right now. He's struggling in those NFC Championship games, and he's not winning. And then he gets released by the Eagles and goes and wins Super Bowls with the Chiefs. I just don't want that to happen with Kyle Shanahan, and that's the road I see. That's what I truly believe. I think by the end of his career, the NFL will find a way to get him 2 rings, whether it's freaking rigged or not. They're going to find a way to get this guy 2 rings. And John Lynch is absolutely as good as we say he is. The biggest move he made, the worst move he ever made, was Trey Lance. And the day it happened, I was probably the most angry fan the day of the draft because I didn't believe in Trey Lance. And it turned out Trey Lance was the biggest bust and a terrible trade, probably one of the worst trades of all time. And that has John Lynch's name tied to it. Absolutely. But outside of that, the 49ers have had probably top 3 rosters in the last 6 seasons. And that's an absolute fact. And John Lynch has a lot to do with that, but so does Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan has a lot of input on this roster. Maybe he's lost a little bit of that input recently because of those signings that they did last year. But, I really believe Kyle Shanahan has a big hand in this roster as well.
Yeah, if you're talking about John Lynch as a GM, it's like every time the 49ers need something, boom, John Lynch delivers. Oh, we can't stop the run on defense? Here's your draft class. Oh, we need an offensive tackle? Well, there you go. He's not the best, but there you go. We needed it. There you go. You need, John Lynch freaking supplies shit when you need it.
And what's awesome is that we were saying pre-draft, they need to go D-line for 3 picks. Maybe their first 4 picks should be all defense. And we heard a lot of pushback as to how the O-line. Listen, we're well aware the O-line needs to upgrade. We're well aware. But there's a must on defense. The gaping hole, D-line, it's massive. And John Lynch is where he earns my respect, man. I understand that defense wins championship, and so does he. All the 49ers' success, pay attention, we've never had an elite quarterback. We've had an elite offensive coordinator, and we've had an elite defense. That's how we've gotten there. And the 49ers fully understand you cannot go into a season with a defense that doesn't stop the run. You can't play football when a defense doesn't stop the run. You want to see what we've seen last year all over again? Because I sure as hell don't. And neither did he. And he addressed it. You're not running on the 49ers this year. I'll call that right now. The 49ers are going to have a fantastic run defense, and it's going to lead to great interceptions and great sacks.
Right. Okay, so realistically, on that defensive line, compared to what we had before the overall, are we upgraded right now, or is it still unknown, or what would you bet on?
Repeat that.
Is this D-line upgraded from the D-line that we just had this past season?
Oh, it's a no-brainer. It's absolutely a massive upgrade. First of all, Hargraves was out. You had Leonard Floyd, and you had Nick Bosa, and then you had Malik Collins, who started off on fire and then kind of declined his game.
Right.
Evan Anderson. This is a guy, man. Grant Cohen and his guests say that this guy, they like what they've seen out of him. Now, if they know what they're talking about, why did John Lynch draft 2D tackles? And if I don't know what I'm talking about, why did John Lynch draft 2D tackles? What are you talking about? What did you like about this guy? He's not an NFL athlete. When we were in Buffalo, we seen this guy in the hotel. It looks like an overweight burgers supplier, man. This guy
I
looks
wouldn't
like he's
guess he's an
standing.
athlete.
No,
I
you're
would.
not thinking he's in the NFL. I'm not attacking Evan Anderson by any means. All I'm saying is he was not the answer for the position, and they wanted to see more of him. And Jordan Elliott, again, a guy that showed some good plays, no doubt about it, but definitely not the answer. Like I say, John Lynch seen it the way I seen it, and that was to draft D line, get the D tackles upgraded, get an edge player. Not only does he go after the quarterback, he can set an edge and stop this run. The 49ers fully understand that they needed to stop this run. You know, and
Yeah.
last comment by Steve-O here, we play top run. I don't care. Do you understand what it means when you bring big men on a defense with a coordinator that knows what the hell he's doing? Like this is the NFL. The 49ers fully understand that they're playing top running backs, whatever it may be. But they understood that their draft was so important on defense heavy, and they did just that. And if you didn't like it, too bad. We don't care because they did what the must was. Sure, there's a need on O-line. We're not disputing that. But the must was defensive line, and they did just that. You're not running on the 49ers anymore. Nick Martin and Fred Warner are going to go wild.
100%. I agree. It was the absolute must that they addressed. And yeah, this D line's an automatic upgrade from last year, not only because I could see the players being dramatically better, but because Robert Saleh is in the building. And that helps the D line, and that will help the D line play better, and it'll help with scheme problems that Nick Soreness just didn't have. So
Man, it's something as simple as on first down, I'm not fucking playing man. Do you understand? It's something that simple. He's playing man coverage, and when DBs turn their back and the running back runs up the sideline, it's something so simple but so stupid.
yeah,
Or running third down. Every third down was man, 5-man, 6-man rush. Every one. You want to bet? Go watch the tape. Like, and you don't think offensive coordinators in the NFL know this shit, man? Like,
100%.
you're
Like,
not running on the Niners anymore. I'm telling you right now, we're going to play cover 3 on first down or cover 2, and we're stopping the run.
yeah, like no disrespect to Nick Sorensen, but he had absolutely no business being in the NFL. Like absolutely no business, and the way he's still in the NFL boggles my mind. This defense going from him to Robert Saleh is so big, dude. And Robert Saleh plays a key role in the players we drafted, as well as getting in the ears of John Kyle and telling them how important it is. I bet you he was speaking the same way to John and Kyle that we're speaking right now. D-line is important. We need to stop the run. You cannot expect me to have a good defense if you're not giving me defensive tackles. If you're not giving me a good player that can set the edge. That's Robert Saleh. This draft was ran by Robert Saleh.
I mean, go back to when Robert Saleh was here last time. We drafted Armstead. We drafted DeForest Buckner. We drafted Nick Bosa. And look what the 49ers just went and did. They just redid the exact same thing in a different manner. They're a little bit different style players. But, you know, CJ West and Alfred Collins, they're exactly here for that reason. They're here to be Armstead and DeForest Buckner. They're here to shut down the run. And those guys obviously were more than that. DeForest Buckner is a Pro Bowler. Armstead, he was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, like another guy, DJ Jones. Like if you want to talk about a player that reminds you of DJ Jones, like Alfred Collins and CJ West, both of them, they're big.
CJ West is a spitting image. I think Alfred Collins is a spitting image of Buckner and Armstead.
Yeah, Alfred Collins a little bit shorter but bigger, like wider.
No, he's 6'6". He's the same size. I mean, I think Buckner is 6'6". Buckner's 6'6" and Armstead's 6'7", or vice versa.
Okay, yeah. Regardless, extremely close players. And okay, we haven't talked about them enough. We love our late round picks because we know the Niners are going to hit on a couple. We love it. This first round pick, okay.
Mikael Williams. I'm ready to say, like, I think his pass rush is going to take a dramatic step forward in the NFL. Like, we got to remember, one, he was not given a lot of stand-up rush lanes
in Georgia. It was a lot of 3-tech, and he just wasn't given a head start a lot. On the 49ers, he's going to get that. And we're going to see a lot of pass rush moves from him, especially playing opposite of Nick Bosa. He's going to learn
The biggest thing playing opposite of Nick Bosa, he's not going to see the double teams that he saw at Georgia. You know,
there you go.
we talked about this last time at Georgia. He was the most doubled player on the Georgia defense. That's a big thing right there. Now Nick Bosa is going to continue seeing that chip and that whatever tight end chip or running back chip and the tackle getting his assistance. But on the other side, you're going to see Mikael Williams get his opportunities. And if he starts to eat, you might see him starting to get doubled and Nick Bosa getting those opportunities. Regardless, the Niners are cooking up a storm. And that storm could be two mean edge rushers with two massive D tackles. The other thing, quarterbacks, get ready to see balls get knocked down on the 49er defense. You're talking 6'6" right up the middle. And you're talking, how big is 6'5" Mikael Williams? Those are two big men.
Oh, yeah.
The defense has just upgraded massive. And I hope 49er fans understand one thing. Defense is more important than offense. It's an absolute fact. So 100%. If you want teams running down hey, just ask the Detroit Lions how they feel right now. Their defense got injured, and they had the best offense in the league. How did they do?
That's the Bills how they do every year. Like, this is common sense at this point. If people don't get it, I get it. Offense is flashy and it's fun to watch. You know what's fun to us? Watching a defense kick ass. If you're struggling on 3rd and 1 to pick up 1 yard against us, we love that more than scoring a 90-yard touchdown.
In terms of the Bills, that you said that, sorry to cut you off, but it's funny. I said going into this draft, if I was the Bills GM, I wouldn't draft anything outside of defense. And you know what the Bills did? They drafted defense. You want to know why? Because they're sick and tired of watching Josh Allen kick ass on one side of the ball and get his ass kicked on the other side of the ball. They addressed it before wide receiver. Even though wide receiver's in need, it doesn't matter. Josh Allen will get those points. Get the defense out there that can stop them.
Exactly. Look at the dynasties, man. Look at the Chiefs. Look at the Patriots. I don't care what quarterback you have. It's not happening without the defenses that they have. It's just not happening. The Chiefs have dropped dramatically on offense over the past 2 years. I believe, like, Patrick Mahomes' numbers were way down last year, and guess what? They're still going to a Super Bowl because that defense plays lights out. And the 49ers are aware that we do not have a Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. We have a Brock Purdy. Right. So that just gives us all the more reason to make that defense even better.
You know, here's two prime examples. The Eagles won, let's be honest, off defense. Sure, their offense played well, but they won off defense. I've never seen Patrick Mahomes look so shaky, and it's because that D-line came after him all night. 4-man rush, no crazy disguise, very simple defense. Under pressure like crazy. And then the best team maybe in our last 30 years, it is the best team. Even though they don't have a ring, I'm still confident in saying they're pretty damn close to being the best team in the last 30 years, and that was the 2007 Patriots. How did they lose? 17-0 to Michael Strahan, Justin Tuck, and Yumi Onyora because Tom Brady couldn't do shit. And you know what's funny? Tom Brady was told that he's not going to get more than 17 points, and he laughed at that point before the game. He thought that was crazy, and he talked about it after. He's like, man, I did not expect that to actually happen, and it did. And that's the best offense we've seen in a long time get shut down. You know why? Because defense, man. You bring in 2-3 big men after a quarterback. It don't matter if it's Tom Brady. That's an issue.
Yeah, man. The saying, like, the best defense or the best offense is a good defense. It works both ways. The best defense is a good offense, while the best offense is a good defense. If you have a good, solid defense, that makes your offense way better. That gives them short yardage situations or short field situations. That's how you win games.
That's how you make Jalen Hurts look good.
Exactly. That's how you get the whole world fooled into believing Jalen Hurts is a top 5 elite quarterback. He is not. Don't get it twisted. He's not.
No. If you put Jalen Hurts on the Bills, they don't make the AFC Championship. No, don't kid yourself.
No chance. Absolutely not. I like Brock Purdy over Jalen Hurts is an argument. It's not crazy. People can call it crazy all they want, but they're very similar. Brock
Purdy's stock will go up after this season. That's why if I'm the 49ers GM, I make it happen before the season, because I do think the 49ers offense is going to rebound. I think Shanahan's going to go back to his creative ways and not lean on the 5 and 7 step drop. It's going to be design plays, easy reads. And George Kittle's going to do his thing this year underneath, and you're going to see a really good run game with Christian McCaffrey and Guarendo's going to have a year. Don't be surprised with that one.
Yeah, Grando's a guy that's really overlooked for some weird reason. I don't care if he couldn't stay healthy. That's a lot. Every player deals with health issues, man. Grando shows serious flashes, and he's overlooked because he dealt with some injuries. Get out of here. I'm excited for him. That's another guy to be excited about.
All right, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back on again this week. Until next time, just please drop a like and hit the subscribe button. And if you want to drop a comment for future topics, just do so. Like I say, until next time, take care. You got anything, Sid?
All good. Until next time, yo. And we appreciate if you subscribe, and we appreciate more if you turn on your notifications. Catch us live every time.